Okay, welcome to the Mashiach Shir. Thanks again for having me back. I'm substitute teacher for Rabbi Aryeh. My name is Aryeh Gurewitz, for those who care. And basically, last week we spoke about the Sicha Balak and the idea of the Shar. The Rebbe says that being Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu is the Shar of the whole Shlichus, which means that everything has to be permeated with Mashiach and everything we have to teach about Mashiach, right? And the Rebbe says that this is the Shar, meaning this is not just a detail of our Avodas Hashem, but it's something that connects all of our other mitzvahs to Hashem. It's the Kavanah Pratis, the specific plan that the Eibusher has for our generation, for us, and everything we spoke about in that year. So related to that, I want to go back a little bit to the Sicha Balak a few months earlier, where the Rebbe speaks about Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. And basically, normally when we think about Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, the Sicha that everybody knows, or the first one that pops into your mind, is Tazriya Mitzayra Tafshin Aleph, where the Rebbe spoke about that this is the Derech HaYeshara, this is the fastest and easiest way to bring Mashiach. But in Balak, which is a Bein HaMitzarim Sicha, so it's very Negea right now, as we're heading into the 9 days. Actually, it's Rosh Chodesh now, so we're in the 9 days. The Rebbe clarifies a lot of details about exactly how we're supposed to go about Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach and what it's supposed to accomplish. And so I want to learn inside with you part of the Sicha and just share some insights. So last week I had a discussion with one of the guys who came to the shir. I spoke to him afterward and he asked me if I always learn Menach the base. And I said, I don't learn it every week. There's probably a lot of people that went through the Sichas many more times than I did. But I told them that what I try to do is that when I get to the part of the Sicha that's when the Rebbe says it's a Chiddush for our door, or it's a Chiddush for our time, or here's the Hirav and the Geulah Pel, so I slow down and I try to learn that part of the Sicha very, very well. Because sometimes the Rebbe tells us things in a small paragraph that really could be life-changing if we spend the time to think about it. So I want to demonstrate that in this Sicha of Balak, so we're just going to learn Ois Ches through Yud Aleph. So we have enough copies of the Sefer on the table, so if you want to follow along, feel free. If you don't want to follow along,
right here?
Yeah.
What page is it on?
It depends which Sefer, but
I like the
different
bigger
things.
print if I could. How do I do this right here? Just do it. Just do it. That's right, just do it. You said some Chaz?
Yeah, Ches. Okay, and we'll spend some time. We're gonna read through, but we're also gonna stop and spend some time discussing and thinking about what whatever really means. Again, if anybody has any questions or anything, you should feel free to jump in. So it's kind of an interactive type of share. You don't have to sit and just listen to me.
Can I ask a simple question before we start this?
Yeah.
Why is it that the Rebbe will give one Sicha, and there will be two different sides, one saying that the Rebbe meant this, and then the other people that say that the Rebbe meant that, and they're completely the exact opposite of each other? How is it possible you can learn one Sicha and they're completely opposite views? And the Rebbe said one thing.
So that's a great question.
Where was it?
I don't know. Yeah, so So that's a great question, but I don't want to get too political about two sides and two interpretations and stuff like that. So maybe we'll talk about that. Okay. So we're doing Balak Tafshin Aleph, Ois Ches for those who just came. So in general, the Sicha of Balak Tafshin Aleph, it was Shiva Asar B'Tammuz that fell out on Shabbos, and so the Rebbe talks about how when a fast day falls out on Shabbos, it's a me'ain of what that day is going to be like after Mashiach comes. Because when Mashiach comes, it says all of those days are going to be transformed into joy, days of joy, Yom Tov, right? Sasan of Simcha. So, based on that, the Rebbe basically explains that he wants us to go into the 3 weeks, not emphasizing the pain and the tzar and the yerida of the 3 weeks, but since we know that it's yerida tzarech aliyah and it's going to bring us to the shleimus of the Geula, so therefore, now that we're so close to the Geula, basically the Rebbe says, as we get closer and closer to the Geulah, so then there's more and more reason to emphasize the positive side of the 3 weeks. It's like if you're going through Yerida and you know there's an Aliyah at the end, so which part should you focus on, the Yerida or the Aliyah?
The Aliyah.
So
depends where you're holding in the process.
right. That's the way that Rebbe, I think, says in the Sicha, is that if you're all the way at the beginning of the process, like a Shiva Asar B'Tammuz just happened yesterday, so then of course you're going to be focused on the Yerida, you're going through the pain, right? But if we're very close to the end and we're very close to the Aliyah, so then we're going to focus on the Aliyah and the Simcha, right? So following from all that, that's how the Rebbe starts off Eis Ches. So the Rebbe says, "V'chidush meisaf b'dereinu zagufa b'shana zu." An additional chiddush, an additional development in our generation itself in this year. We're touching it now. Meisaf l'kach shenim toim b'smichas mamish l'gula mitzvah shlema. In addition to the fact that we're found mamish right next to, right before the Geulah mitzvah shlema, harei shana zu hi teish nas neflois erenu. This year, the Rosh Hashanah of the year is teish nas neflois erenu. It should be a year of wonders. I will show you. I will show him. Right, like the Jewish people have accepted that that is the Rosh Hashanah of the year. The year in which was fulfilled, will be fulfilled, the prediction of that just like the days of your leaving Egypt, I will show you wonders. And we already saw wonders that testify that this is the year that Mashiach is revealed. And even the time when Mashiach comes. And he tells the Yidden, humble ones, the time of your redemption has arrived, like the words of Yaakov Shemaini. That he already came, meaning that we are standing already on the doorstep of the beginning of Yemei HaMashiach, that we're on the doorstep of the beginning of the Geulah, and immediately the continuation of it, and the completion of it, the perfection of it, the Shleimus. So, there's a couple interesting things here that are worth spending a minute on. So, very often, when most of us are familiar with the Yaakov Shemaini that says about how the different nations of the world, especially the Arab nations, are going to be fighting with each other, right? And a lot of times people say that if back then that Medrash was being fulfilled, so how much more so now the Medrash is being fulfilled? Ever heard such a thing like that before? People sometimes, I've been in yeshivas where that was brought up, that the Yaakov Shemaini is like being fulfilled even more now than it was back then. But what I think stands out a lot over here is that the Rebbe says Shana Shemelech HaMashiach Nigla, which is the lashon of the Medrash. It's 1 year that it happens. There's 1 year where there's this event called the revelation of Melech HaMashiach, right? And the Rebbe is saying that we've already seen wonders that testify that this is that year, right? So how could that be? Did we have the Haskalos of Mashiach in that year?
No.
We're still in Golos, right? So what does the Rebbe mean when he says that there's a
maybe by the Torah that was given, it's kind of a revelation to us.
What?
Maybe the Sichas that we're getting given to us are a revelation. It's a type of
Could be. So I want to explain it, try to explain it the way I understand it, based on what the Rebbe says later in the paragraph about Hinei Zah Malach Mashiach Ba. Shekvar Ba, that he already came. You see there from the words Shekvar Ba, the Rebbe is saying that something already happened. Mashiach already came. Obviously, we must not mean in the full sense when we normally say the words Mashiach comes and Mashiach's coming. We're all talking about the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema. So that clearly, we're not in the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema right now, and yet the Rebbe is saying very clearly Shekvar Ba, that Mashiach already came. So how do we understand this? So the Rebbe very often said this thing of Hinei Zah Malach Mashiach Ba, right? We all know this is not the only Sicha where the Rebbe says that. So, if you look at the footnote 83, the Rebbe says this is a pasuk from Shir Shirim, right? And it says to look at Shir Shirim Rabba ala pasuk. So,
they're saying they can't hear.
so the Rebbe directs us to Shir Shirim Rabba. And the Rebbe says the same thing in Shoftim and Aleph, by the way, when the Rebbe says that the Iker Nevuah is seen as Malach HaMashiach Ba. The Rebbe also puts a footnote to this Shir Shirim Rabba. So in the Sefer over here where they bring the Pianuchim, they open up the sources the Rebbe brings in the footnotes. So you have the Medrash, and the truth is I looked up the Medrash in the actual Sefer of the Medrash, and there's more than what they bring over here. But I'll just tell you outside, and then I'll read what it says over here. So basically, in the Medrash Shir Shirim Rabbah, it brings 4 stories. And the stories all follow the same structure. They all involve a Goyel coming to tell the Yidden that it's time for the Geulah. But in the first 3 stories, it's Moshe Rabbeinu telling the Yidden that it's time to leave Mitzrayim. And in the last version of the story, it's Mashiach coming to tell the Yidden that it's time to go out of Galus. So they only bring here the 4th one, the one which is about Mashiach, which makes sense. Because obviously that's what the Rebbe is referring to. Now, the common thread from all the 4 versions of the story is that it goes something like this. The Goyal comes and says, it's time to go to the Geulah, whether it's going out of Mitzrayim or going out of Galus. And the Yidden say, no, it can't be. It can't be that now it's time for Geulah. That there is something else that has to happen first. And the Goyal, Moshe Rabbeinu or Mashiach is back. Since Hashem wants the Geulah to be now, so he's going to consider it like it was good enough. Okay?
What's the thing that has to happen?
So in each version of the story in the Medrash, the discussion's a little different. So I just wanted to tell you the general structure, and now we'll read inside the one about Mashiach. Okay? So it says like this: Rabbi Yudan, Rabbi Chunya, Rabbi Yudan b'shem Rabbi Eliezer ben Nishal, Rabbi Yesi HaGalili, Rabbi Chunya b'shem Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Aimer. Okay, so 2 of the Chachamim said, Kel Deidi, Hine Zerba, the voice of my beloved, Hine Zerba, behold, this one comes, Zam Melech HaMashiach. This is referring to the King Mashiach, B'shaj hu Aimer li Yisrael, at the time when he is saying to the Jewish people, B'chodesh hazeh atem nigolim. In this month you will be redeemed. Right? So he's saying it's time for the Geulah. The Jewish people say back, Heach anu nigolim, v'leik var nishba. So how can we be redeemed now? V'leik var nishba, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu meshavdeinu be'ayin umais, b'shivim umais. Didn't Hashem already swear that he's going to make us subjugated to 70 nations? So you see, the Yidden are saying, how could it be? How could it be now's the time for the Geulah? We're supposed to be enslaved by 70 nations, right? So v'hu Mashiach shtei shuvos, and so it says that Mashiach answered them 2 answers. V'omer lahem, and he says to them, Echad mikem li Geulah leBarbaria, v'echad mikem Geulah leSamatria. One of you is exiled in Barbaria, and another one of you is exiled in Samatria. So it's as if all of you were in exile over there. That's one answer. So since there's one of you over here and one of you over there, that's already good enough to be considered like all 70 nations already subjugated you. Yeah? That's the first answer Mashiach gives. Then he says the second answer. And not only that, but this Malchus, which is this nation, this government, which is very interesting. Which Malchus is he talking about? It's seemingly whichever one he is located in, right? So this Malchus enlists an army from the whole world. We call Ummah from every nation. We call Ummah v'Ummah. Kuti echad or Barbary echad. One person who's a Kuti, one person who's a Barbary. Bo mashavet b'chem k'goyin shishibadchem b'hem kol u'masam. Sorry. So since they have an army that's made up of all the different nations, so it's as if that whole nation was mashabed you. Okay, and it's as if you were enslaved in all of the 70 nations. Atzem Nigolim, so therefore, says Mashiach, you're going to be, it's as if you were already subjugated under the 70 nations, and in this month you will be redeemed. So you see a very interesting discussion. So there's a few things basically we learn. The first thing is that Mashiach arrives on the scene at a time when the Geulah has not yet happened. Right? And he's having a whole discussion with the Jewish people, trying to convince them that it's the time for the Geulah, and they're having a hard time believing it. Right? And the Rebbe is saying, Hinei Zeba, Shekvar Ba, that it already happened, that Mashiach already came. Right? And he quotes us a medrash where the Jewish people are talking to Mashiach and struggling to believe that Mashiach is ready to, that the Geulah is ready to happen. So the Rebbe says this is an event. This medrash is an event that's happening in the year Tafshin Aleph. It's Shana Shemelech HaMashiach Nigla Ba, not in the sense that the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema occurred in the year Tafshin Aleph, but it's Shana Shemelech HaMashiach Nigla Ba. I should say Nigla Ba, not Nigla Ba. I know someone has a whole deek about that. It should say Nigla Ba because it's feminine. The word Shana is feminine, but anyway, it's for another time. So the Rebbe is saying this is the year that Mashiach was revealed, and he supports it with the Hinei Zeba, which is not describing the shleimus of the Geulah, it's describing Mashiach as he is present and talking to the Jewish people before the Geulah. Yeah, it sheds a lot of light on this thing that the Rebbe kept saying, Hinei Zeba, when you realize that it's not saying that there was the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema, it's saying that there's the presence of Melech Mashiach. It's having discussion with the Yidden. Now, what's very interesting is I was discussing this once with a friend of mine who knows a lot of Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, and he told me that there's a minor of the Frierdiker Rebbe that discusses this thing of barbaria and Samatria, and it basically the Frierdiker Rebbe connects it over there to the concept of Avodas HaBerurim, that we go around to the different nations and there's divine sparks in every nation, so we have to take them out, right? So if you could, I don't want to say too many Chadushim over here, but if you could read that into this medrash, so then what it would mean is that Mashiach comes and he says to the Yidden that Avodas HaBerurim is finished and it's time for the Geulah because we finished Avodas HaBerurim, and the Yidden are saying, no, how can we have finished Avodas HaBerurim? We have to go to more nations and more this. It can't be that Avodas HaBerurim is finished yet. And Mashiach says, no, Avodas HaBerurim, it doesn't work the way you think. It works in a way that it's done, even. And the truth is, that actually happened with the Rebbe, that there's a Sicha by Yishlach Min Beis, where the Rebbe says, people are asking me, how can I say that Avodas HaBerurim is finished? And the Rebbe gives a whole Sicha about how when Yidden go and are mislabish in the Hanhagos of a certain place, how that's Mavara the world, according to the Minhagim of that place. And so the Rebbe says that the fact that there's Moistis that are Mashpia, Torah, and Chassidus all over the world, that shows you the bearer of the world. So
because everything's being spread so much, that's like the sign of the Geulah.
Right. And specifically in all the nations, and the Rebbe uses that to justify Avodas HaBerurim. So anyway, I didn't mean to get so into my Chadushim on this medrash, but it's definitely interesting to say the least. But the basic point that's clear is that Hinei Zeba means that Melech HaMashiach is present, and he is speaking to the Yidden, and the Yidden are having a hard time believing that it's the time to go. Okay? Let's go further.
Before we continue, what was the pasuk in Shir Hashem? What did it talk about? That they give the medrash on?
Kol Dodi.
Kol Deidi Hinei Zeba Medalag al Haharim Mekabes al Gvois.
Okay.
So Mashiach is answering that even though it wasn't completed, what the Yidden Stein is saying is that it wasn't completed fully, but medalik, right? It's
right.
A way of dealing with it. David shows medalik on a case by Mitzrayim,
right.
Even though he said 400 and 430 years, 400 years, and one of that, 210 years.
Right. In other words, the Eibusher looks at things from a way that it doesn't always require as much as you think. Like another example of this that I like to talk about is in Chaisar in the days the Rebbe says something that we're at the end. We're not at the beginning.
Told us on the
Okay.
This I know is in Chayes Targum Beis. It could be something similar, but Chayes Targum Beis, the Rebbe says, we're talking about it for in my opinion, that we're not at the beginning of the shlichus, and we're not at the middle of the shlichus, we're after the end of the shlichus. And then the Rebbe says, and therefore there's only thing left is because we already finished the Avodas HaShlichus. And it's like, if you think about it, in Inyonei Geulah there were how many Chabad houses? So I was saying that this for we were talking about it. If you took a poll of the whole average, and you asked, are we at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the Shlichus? What do you think would be probably the most common response? I think probably the middle.
Middle.
Like a good 2/3 or 3/4.
What, in the base?
Now.
Now is the middle?
No.
Now
If
it's
you
the
asked
end.
everybody's
That'll
opinion,
be the end right now.
if you asked everybody's opinion, we'd probably say like we're in the middle. No? That's how I feel like we
The
would.
middle of what? From what reference? What's the reference point?
Whatever. Just if you just ask somebody how they feel about where we're holding in the completion of the Rebbe Shlichus.
If you find out why he said what he said, like for instance, the guy that says the middle, what's his reasoning behind it?
It started in Yud Aleph, and we're 60 years in.
A lot of times people think
There's a
that
whole world we didn't conquer yet.
Right. So then why should he say the middle? Then if he has such a much
Because 50 years is not a klinikite. It's first.
so he's saying
maybe some people would say the beginning. I don't know. I'm guessing that if we took a poll, that the most common would be the middle. A lot of people probably say the beginning. A lot of people probably say the end.
Now I think it's the end.
So the thing is that the Rebbe said in the days that even in the days we're already at the end.
Maybe the end time.
After the end, we already finished, yeah. And therefore there's this big chiddush in it. So, and how many Chabad houses were there back then? Like a quarter of what there are now? So the Rebbe sees things from a different perspective. We're like you said, we're looking at there's a whole world that we didn't conquer yet. There's millions of Jews out there that don't even know what Chabad is.
We have a
It
Chabad
must
house
be
now.
so far.
We have a Chabad house now in every single state.
Okay, that's not saying much.
But there's just as many Kabbalahs as more. That many more people that became now. Population grew. And there are people that have no clue. Not
About Shuvah grew.
The point is that we look at things like we assume that there's so much more. We see so much room for improvement, and so we're like, there must be so much more that has to be done. When you see it from the Rebbe's perspective, the Rebbe says that things are done, and we have a hard time understanding how that could be. How could it be that the Shlichus was done when there were a quarter of the number of Chabad houses that there are now, and there are so many millions of Yidden that weren't reached yet? And yet the Rebbe says that. So it's very similar to this Medrash that it's like we're saying, no, we have to be enslaved by 7 nations. And Mashiach says, no, when there's one nation, when there's one of you in that nation, it's like that nation enslaved the whole Jewish people. It's a different perspective. Yeah?
The Rebbe continued sending people and stuff.
Of course. So that gets into a different question, which is why if something's done, why do we keep doing it?
Slichas is the tafkid of the generation. Well, that was earlier.
So the Rebbe came in that Sicha. The Rebbe says there's a chiddush in the Shlichus, and now the Shlichus has a new purpose and a new shah. That's what the Shir was about last week. That's what. So we never say like last week's in the Sicha. The Rebbe said we already were misakin the sinas chinam that led to the Golus. Not just masking the mouth. It's an incredible statement. Normally, all the years the Rebbe said the Golus is caused by sinas chinam. So if we'll fix the sinas chinam, then we'll get the Geulah. No, the Rebbe says we already fixed it. So what does that mean? Now you can go hate everybody? We fixed the sinas chinam, so now we could go on more sinas chinam. It's fine. It's not a problem. We fixed it already. No, the Rebbe says now you do Avos Yisrael in the way that it's a te'ima of the Geulah, me'ain of the Geulah, son of the Geulah. The role of it changes. Al derech mitzvahs b'chelas lost the What do we say when Mashiach comes? We're going to stop doing mitzvahs? No, we're still going to do all the mitzvahs, but they're not going to be commands. It's going to be in a different way. It's going to be a higher way. But we're never saying that if the Rebbe says something is finished, then that means we stop doing it. So yeah, that's important.
The goal of Mashiach.
Well, the Rurim I think is a little different. I'll
to convince
talk about
the
that.
Bnei Yisrael in each of the stories that he has to convince the Bnei Yisrael, and until they're convinced, in other words, really the Rebbe's perspective or the Geulah perspective is what should win.
Right.
Whether we agree with it or not, whether we understand it or not.
Right.
And if the time was up, the time was up, whether we like it or not.
Right. But
And
the same man who's saying here is Abba and and all these things, talks about how there's a need for us to recognize, and that's what the Sicha is going to get into if we have more time. Running later already.
So the Ikra Avodah that we have to achieve all these years is that we have to really internalize this hair on our own. That we should get convinced that our Avodah is not the same as it was.
Right. So everyone want to stay a few more minutes?
The reason why the guy that says that we're in the middle of the shlichus is because he says, well, this was not our and we're still here. Well, it's got to be that we have to get every single Jew out there, and that's why it's taking so long. I'm assuming that's his reason, right? That's his line of logic, that he's thinking that we're just in the middle, because if we really just have to take one yid, so we did that already back then, right? Oh my. But the problem was not that yid. The problem is this yid.
This year, that's the problem.
This yid is not convinced that the Mashiach is already here.
So let's skip
I
a
don't
little
think
bit.
it's supposed to be here until I become a son, you know. Until I become a son.
He said he's going to have a Rikas Yomim because he says that he got a bracha from the Rebbe to have out the year to become I don't know what, tzaddik, and he says he knows that he's the Rebbe said the story. He's so far from it, so he knows he's going to have a Rikas Yomim.
Okay. Everybody wants to stay? Yeah? We're going overtime, but if everybody wants, we'll do it for a minute.
Yes.
So,
It's like the Balak. It's okay. You have the Balak all the time.
No,
Well, okay.
not the Balak. Mashiach can go overtime.
Now the share has to be with a different kivun, like you said. Now it's Kahamat
right.
Now it's Te'im.
If this is a team, if you guys think this is the team of Geulah, I'm very happy. So let's just skip a little bit, because I want to continue the discussion that we're having now. So for that, I have to skip a few lines. Basically, go to the end of Ois Tes. There's one very important paragraph, the last paragraph of Tes, and then in Yud, we'll get back to that point that you guys were just discussing. Okay? So, by the way, I highly recommend going back through this afterwards and just seeing Oisi's Ches through Yud Aleph, just to see the whole flow. Okay?
No excuse.
Basically, the Rebbe says this before the Rebbe, what we're skipping is the Rebbe says this Nakuda about learning Hilchos Beis HaBechira and the way that you feel. There's this halacha l'maisa b'pel b'regel shel achrei zeh, which is a deep avodah to transform yourself in such a way that you feel that Hilchos Beis HaBechira is relevant in maisa b'pel, not that it's a history lesson or something for the distant future. Right? So that itself is something we could bring about how to change yourself in that type of a way that you feel that way about Hilchos Beis HaBechira. But we're going to skip that for now. So now the Rebbe says, "Val derech hamduber b'tekufa ha'achreina b'negei la'isacha b'yichedus b'limud ha'Torah b'Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach." Similar to what we've been speaking about in the Tekufa Ha'achreina, and if you look, the Rebbe says, the Rebbe puts a footnote to Sefer Sicha Balak, okay, with page 501 502, which is the Sicha Tazri Mitzvah, where the Rebbe says that the derech ha'yishar the Mashiach is limud Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. Okay. So the Rebbe is saying this is in a continuation to that. So similar to that, I just want to tell you another interesting fun fact, but it's very relevant. In the Chav Ches Nissen, we all know the Sicha of Chav Ches Nissen, and the Rebbe said, do everything you can, right? And it's every year Chav Ches Nissen comes, and I don't know about you guys, but I go to Fabring, and there's discussion of what did the Rebbe mean, what was the Rebbe trying to get us to do on Chav Ches Nissen? And this really deserves a share for itself, but basically, if you look in the sichas that are after Chav Ches Nissen, so each one, the first footnote or the first paragraph together with the first footnote, basically each sicha says that it's a hamshech to Chav Ches Nissen. So Shmini says it, Tazri Mitzvah says it, Achrei Kedeshim and Emor. I think one of them says the hamshech to. I think Emor says like the hamshech to Achrei Kedeshim, or something like that. But the point is, the Rebbe is saying each sicha is a hamshach directly from Chav Ches Nissen. And now, one of those Tazri Mitzvah, and over here, the Rebbe is saying the hamshach to what was spoken about recently in the sicha of Tazri Mitzvah. So, if this is the hamshach to Tazri Mitzvah, and Tazri Mitzvah is the hamshach to Chav Ches Nissen, yeah, so then what the Rebbe is saying over here is a hamshach to Chav Ches Nissen. Very important. When you're forgetting on Chav Ches Nissen, you have to realize that the sicha is afterwards. The Rebbe is building, and the Rebbe is telling us and clarifying for us what to do. Okay? So in Tazri Mitzvah now, the Rebbe said to learn Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, the Rebbe made a list of sources, told us to look up the Mafteches, Erech Mashiach, Erech Geulah, for the sources in Chassidus. And now the Rebbe adds a very important, it's not even detail, it's a very important cloud really, in understanding the Seirah of learning Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. So the Rebbe says that we learn Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, lo yirak b'tur segula l'mahir l'karif b'yis HaMashiach b'Geula. It's not only a segula to speed up and to bring closer the coming of Mashiach and the Geula, elagam u'be'ikir k'dei lahaschil lichiyes b'Inyonei Mashiach u'Geula. It's also and mainly so that we can begin to live with the Inyanim of Mashiach and Geula. In other words, it's not, when we talk about living Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, it's not supposed to be that, it's not supposed to be limited to a text message or a word after davening or a once a week shir. All those things are very, very good. But the goal of it all is a transformation where you're doing this thing called living with Mashiach.
Things once you learn about Mashiach, you put it into your action and it permeates
So
it.
the Rebbe said, that's exactly what the Rebbe says. If you look at it, the Rebbe gives a methodology here. It's a very, very concise methodology, but it's a methodology. The Rebbe says, Al yedei zeh she'aseichel nasa memula v'chodor b'havana v'asaga b'Inyonei Mashiach u'Geula. Through this, that your seichel becomes full and penetrated with understanding of Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. Right? Mashiach u'Geula shabbatega. U'meha seichel mispashet v'cheder gam b'regash halev. From the seichel, it spreads and penetrates also the feeling of the heart. In a way which is going to be fitting to this special time. So what's going to be fitting to this special time is obviously a high level of performance of Torah and mitzvahs. That's obviously what's fitting to the doorstep of the Geula, right? Where we're pointing with our finger, right, and saying Hinei zeh ba, which we already explained previously what the Rebbe is saying with that. So this paragraph, if you let it, could be a life-changing paragraph. Yeah, we're always talking about avodas Hashem. What is avodas Hashem? You have two avodas. Avodas ha'eved is machshava divrei ma'aseh, right? And avodas shavalev is what's going on in your heart. Where the way I always like to think of it is avodas Hashem is what action am I doing, and where in my neshama is that action coming from? What's motivating me to do that action? Is it habit? Is it ava? Is it yira? Is it simcha? Is it kabal sale?
It's a
Is it what? It's your heart, yeah. That's basically how we think about avodas Hashem. That's what Chassidus is always discussing. This action versus that action, and this feeling versus that feeling, right? That's what the whole avodas Hashem is. So the Rebbe is saying over here, pasha da derech in avodas Hashem, if you ask me. The Rebbe is saying you can make your heart and your machshava divrei ma'aseh, right, filled with Mashiach. How? By just filling your mind with Havana Vasaga of Inyonei Mashiach u'Geula. If you'll have that much Havana Vasaga, then it will spread. It's a whole derech and avodas Hashem. It's a whole way to inspire yourself and inspire other people. Pashat by putting enough understanding of Mashiach in your head. Yeah? And the Rebbe says that this is the goal of Limud Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. That same Limud Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach that the Rebbe mentioned in Tazri Mitzvah and the Malach, which the Rebbe said is the easiest and fastest and straightest way to bring the Geula. So this is a clarification of the Derech HaYishar. It's a clarification of what the Rebbe is saying is the fastest way to bring the Geula, is that you learn Mashiach in a way that you fill your mind with Havana Vasaga, and it spreads to your midas and your machshava divrei ma'aseh. We could bring about it more and more. We don't have so much time now, but
He went through that in the Maimer of Vayishlach Yeshua, where it talks about the Meraglim first of Moshe Rabbeinu was to go through the midos, which we weren't ready to do without the Rebbe, but with Yeshua, when he sent out the spies, there was machshava divrei ma'aseh, and that's what then everyone's reaches, it says in time.
Right. And what the Rebbe is saying over here is that you can go about making that transformation that it talks about in Vayishlach Yeshua. You can go about it by filling your mind with Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. That it doesn't say in that mind, but that's unique to the Sicha. Maybe not only the Sicha, but that's the emphasis in the Sicha. Yeah?
It's how to live with Mashiach.
So,
It's in addition to Tazri Mitzvah.
Right. It really is in my mind, it's a clarification of Tazri Mitzvah. Because we're saying when we said to learn, we weren't only saying to make a segula, we were saying that you're supposed to live with it. And how you're going to live with it is by filling your seichel, and then it's going to be mispasha.
when it comes to Ava V'Yira, it's not, it requires more than just Havana V'Sagi. You need his abundance.
Right. Oh, so we gotta keep reading. Good. Yes, lahayis b'bir hatzayim hamayla b'limu d'tayra b'Inyonei Mashiach u'Geulah b'Inyan Beis Hamikdash u'Shlishi k'Knisa b'Haskalas Yemei Mashiach u'B'Hakdam. Af she'amru Chazal she'Mashiach b'Ava Hesach Das, and Mashiach comes with Hesach Das when your mind is removed from it. That's a simple touch. Ein zeh b'stira chasas shalom l'machshava v'hisbaininus b'ofen shal das. You know who's going to say that?
I was wondering if they, based on what you were saying, that when Hasidus tries to tell us how it's not enough you just learn about David, you have to really be inspired and so it should affect you.
Right.
So I was waiting to hear where in Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach do we say that you have to be inspired?
So here you have it.
So you're done.
So kumtais.
Live interaction.
Yeah. So kumtais, what do we learn? Is that same model that you just mentioned, the Chachma Bina V'Das, that defines Chabad, yeah? The Rebbe is taking Chachma Bina V'Das and saying, do it with Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. It's a big deal. Right? That could be a life-changing thing if you let it. So this is like the type of thing I'm talking about when I say that in the Malta base there's a lot packed into these final paragraphs of these drawings. Because when I'm trying to learn the whole Sicha over I'm trying to finish the Sicha on the week of Parshas Balak. So I go through it so fast, you can read this paragraph in 10 seconds or less. Right? And you could miss that I was giving a whole hadracha in Avodas Hashem based on leaving Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach. But you see, now that we're taking the time to sit and bring and ask questions, right, and open it up, you see that that's not what's happening, right? That's what the Rebbe is saying. We're not making a lot of like diukim and stuff. This is a pasha of pshat. Okay, let's do a little bit more, and we're not going to be able to finish the whole Sicha now, but I think we did a lot already. But we'll just finish this idea. So the Rebbe says this thing that Chazal say about Hesach Das is not a steer to his boinenus and das. Right, that you connect your das with a strong connection and very strong, and you fix it in your mind strong. It doesn't translate so well in English, that whole phrase. Okay, yeah. But if it's das, then Inyonei Mashiach u'Geulah. Right, to engage in Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach with this type of das and his boinenus. This is what gets back to the discussion we were talking about before. That we were saying that Mashiach is trying to convince the Yidden that it's the time for the Geulah, and the Yidden are having a hard time believing it. Right? So what did you say before? You said that the Yidden, the whole Avodah, maybe not the whole Avodah, but the Yidden have to realize that this is the time for the Geulah, because that's what Mashiach is trying to tell them, and they're having a hard time believing it. Right? So you see, that's what the Rebbe is saying right here. The first hisboinenus of all the hisboinenus that you could do in Inyonei Geulah uMoshiach, the Rebbe says, is leida lahakir, right, to know and to recognize that we're standing at the entrance to Yemei Mashiach. Hinei zeh, the same thing we said before, what Hinei zeh means, right? Kevan shekvar kol kitzin ukvar asur tshuva, right? The Gemara says, kol kitzin ve'en adavar totally ela b'tshuva. That's how the Gemara says it, right? So the Rebbe says, kol kitzin ukvar asur tshuva. We already did tshuva. Now, going back to what we were saying before, does that mean you don't do tshuva anymore? No. In Noach Nabi, there's a whole derech in tshuva, like a very Mashiach-like derech in tshuva.
Does that mean
No, not necessarily.
Does that mean
that's the whole for itself. But the Rebbe actually says here,
in a collective sense we did tshuva, we're not in the individual sense when we're complete?
Right, that's what it says in Noach Nabi, that the entity of Knesset Yisrael did tshuva b'shleimus, but a Yachid could still have a pratistic thing that he has to fix up. The Rebbe explains how to do it for Simcha and know that it's not your pratistic clause are not holding back the Geulah, and a whole Sicha over there deserves a share for itself. Okay? We already finished all of it. B'shleimus k'chol prat ha'advarim amurim else zayin ches ki hesach hadas perushay l'mayla min hadas, which that is for bringing for itself. What does it mean l'mayla min hadas? Meaning after this thing penetrates your das, through thinking and doing his boinenus, which I guess the simple meaning of that is that it becomes like a pashut emunah by you. you work on it through thought and hisbonenus, and the result is that it's going to be a pasha d'emunah. That's how I understand that on a simple level. I just want to summarize the rest because it's getting very late. But again, I highly recommend going through the rest and thinking about it in a similar style. Hopefully part of what you're going to get out of this year, by the way, is not only this information, but the recognition of the need to spend the time looking carefully at the Rebbe's Hayrois and the Malachim base. Okay? But so the next little piece here, the Rebbe talks about, the Rebbe basically says, despite the shturim that we've been making about Mashiach, still we're seeing that it's hard for people to really feel and really believe that Mashiach's coming now. And it's hard for people to live with Mashiach. Basically the same struggle that we're talking about with Inyonei Geulah, right? So the Rebbe says one of the reasons why this is because the miracles that are happening, like the Rebbe already said that it's a year of Kimei Teis Chomer, it's Mitzrayim or Renu Neflois, and right, and the year is called Teis Ras Neflois or Renu Neflois. So the Rebbe is saying that there are miracles happening in that year. So if there are miracles happening, so why is it so hard for people to get excited about the Geulah? There's miracles happening. So the Rebbe says there's two types of miracles. There's miracles that are Neflois or Renu, and there's miracles that are Renu Neflois. Neflois or Renu means it's a miracle, and afterwards I show it to you. And Renu Neflois means I show you a miracle. So the difference is that there are some miracles that are openly obvious that they're miracles, right? And there's some miracles that it's a miracle, but it fits a little bit too well with nature, and so therefore you don't realize it's a miracle until someone comes along and explains it to you. So the Rebbe says that in the year Tafshin and Aleph, the miracles were in a way of Neflois and Renu. They were miracles, but you don't recognize them as miracles until someone, probably the Rebbe, comes along and tells you how this thing is a miracle, and then you have to think about it. Is it really a miracle? Is it really not a miracle? I don't know, right? So that's why the miracles that are happening are not getting people excited about the Geulah and making them feel like the Geulah is about to happen.
You have to come inside of Kafka.
What?
So the whole thing of the Geulah Hasidah is that it's coming from the Mata as well.
Oh, so look at the last paragraph of Yud. I'll finish with this. V'ha'etza l'zeh. Ha'etza l'zeh means, Etza means advice, a solution to a problem. Right? So they're saying, I told you the problem, and here's the Etza, here's what you should do about it.
It's not recognizing miracles?
Yeah. And therefore, because you're not recognizing the miracles, therefore you're not feeling the excitement of Inyonei Geulah and so on. So the Etza is, Al Yedei Limud HaTorah Inyonei Mashiach uGeulah. Think about that for a second. The replacement for open miracles, in terms of getting yourself excited about Geulah, since you don't know open miracles, what do you do instead? You learn Inyonei Mashiach uGeulah, and that's what I was saying you replace.
I know the open miracles of Mashiach.
What?
The open miracles that happen. Because when you see, when we focus on this, it's so open miracles, because when you just look at it quickly,
yeah,
you didn't see what's going on.
Right.
Like when you open it up.
Staying in the Sicha is open.
Yeah, you see
right.
the place in the Torah.
Right. It's like the Torah Sicha.
The power of his Torah, the whole one blessed be is above
so let's see.
the world.
Let's see.
What do you say?
Well, first of all, it says that there's going to be miracles on shit. But okay, good question. So let's see. So why does this work? Why does it work? It's in the power of the Torah, which is Hashem's wisdom that's higher than the world, to change the nature of a person. That even when in his feeling he is found outside the idea of Geulah, since he still didn't go out of his inner galus, by learning Torah about Geulah, you pick yourself up, you elevate yourself to a situation of Geulah. You begin to live with the concepts of Geulah, coming from a place of knowing and recognizing and feeling that Inyonei Geulah, which again, we touched before, what is the meaning of Inyonei Geulah?
So two things. You finished?
Yeah.
You said at the beginning of the share that the main avoider is to accomplish Mashiach. You can't have that be that before you do everything. what would be, in your opinion, that is blameless? What would you do before you do a mitzvah, before you learn? What would be that kavanah that you would use to be the Mekab Ken Mashiach? What would the action actually be?
Then we miss what tip of scales Mashiach.
So, personally, I don't like that one.
What is it?
Even though he said that mitzvah could tip the scale, which is
Okay.
true. Personally, I have a hard time relating that one. First of all, I would say
Take away. That's another Indian.
first of all, I would say let's not limit it to one thing. What works for me might not work for you.
But I'm
So,
saying, like, in your opinion,
So,
what
to
would
me,
you
we
say?
should have it for bringing, and if anybody wants to actually organize it, I would be in touch with you. We should actually organize it. We should have it for
I'm
bringing.
down.
This was last time also.
I'm
Or should
down.
make it for bringing, where we're going to discuss how do we make mitzvahim about Mashiach, how do we make nigla about Mashiach, how do we make chassidus about Mashiach. Let's go through all the things that we do on a day-to-day basis for bringing, about how to make them more penetrated with Mashiach. Should we do that?
Yes.
Good idea?
Yes.
Someone is going to help me organize it?
Sure,
Yeah.
they're organized. We got
Okay.
Facebook, the live, the whole.
I don't got the financial
So I
resources
really
for
think
that.
we should do it.
One person still hanging on.
It's my roommate.
Is it
So-
is it extend for married people with children as well, or just for both of them?
No,
Wow.
you guys, this is
Because you're
not
gonna
for.
have to, you're gonna have to
Not for
have
both.
someone that's experienced.
I'm married, so I have to bring about it. So
Are you on the time on somebody, or you just
Welcome, don't have to do it.
Well, that was such enough commentator. 2-3 years. That's
Yeah, you don't-
then that's some music.
you don't
That's
count
And the rest, yeah, 2-3 years you can still.
so I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
You got in there.
Up and down.
And second,
But,
you say on your statement that you said based on the medrash that if one person was exiled to one place, you could say that the whole nation sort of exiled to there. Maybe
Medrash
especially
says that.
that you said that this is a connection to Chayaf Nisan.
Right.
Maybe the Rebbe was saying there that if one person takes the Avodah and one person really accepts Mashiach and he accepts what the Rebbe is saying, that Mashiach is here,
Right.
then that would sort of say that's the shah. Even one person really accepts and lives Mashiach. He accepts Mashiach. Then based on what you're saying over there, it's the same. It's the same meaning.
Right.
Rabbi Shalom says that they're after Geulah Barbaria, but everyone has to think that he's the one guy that Mashiach's waiting for.
I personally, when I was in Las Vegas, I wasn't allowed to say "he" do any of that stuff. So what I did is every mitzvah I did, I had the kavanah that with Mashiach, like I did extra vitality, extra chayas, extra power with every mitzvah,
Right.
as if Yechi wasn't lacking.
So, you know what, I'll just share one point in answer to that, and hopefully we'll make this for bringing happen, and we'll continue. But I personally don't like to do that this mitzvah could tip the scale. I'm not saying it's wrong, maybe it's just my chesed, but the reason why I don't like to put the emphasis on that so much is because you put all your hope in that one mitzvah, and then, okay, so that mitzvah didn't do it, so then why am I going to believe the next mitzvah is going to do it? It takes a lot of emunah to make that one work.
No, you don't do it by one mitzvah, you do it by a whole.
You
You
don't know
gotta do a whole. You just keep doing everything.
I
So it's
think
done.
it's people.
It's like when you go to war, you don't just say this one bullet's going to
Right.
destroy the enemy. You just go full force and you don't stop till they're dead.
Right. So that's why I don't like when we talk about how to make something good for the Mashiach. I don't like to put it all in that thing that this mitzvah could be the one to do it, because I think people sometimes get discouraged. You have to nurture the right emunah before you can really have that.
You don't tell a soldier one bullet's going to kill all the
Right,
enemies.
right.
You
don't want
go,
people to put all their hope into one thing and then they're going to lose hope.
but you got to have a whole soul, an entire soul plan.
But let me just give one thought and then we'll finish up because we ran very late. Baruch Hashem, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the series. You want to stay such a long time. But I am married, like I said before, so I gotta get going. But one thing I'll say is that what are we going to be doing when Mashiach comes?
Same thing, basically.
We're going to be doing Torah and Mitzvahs B'Shleimus. Torah and Mitzvahs B'Shleimus.
So we
That's
do
going to
that.
be our whole life, right? So if you want to know how to think about a mitzvah to make it more geuladik, so I think one approach would be, and again, I think there's a lot more, but one approach would be to realize, I say that I want Mashiach. What's Mashiach going to do? Mashiach's going to come turn the whole world into a place where people are doing Torah and Mitzvahs B'Shleimus. So I want to do this Mitzvah B'Shleimus. That's the first thing, to do it B'Shleimus, to know the halachas and know how to do the mitzvah properly, propel mamish, right? Because that itself is an Inyonei Geulah. And then why do I want to do this mitzvah b'shleimus? Not because I want to feel good about myself, which can be a good motivator sometimes for certain types of personalities. I want to do this mitzvah b'shleimus because that is an expression of Geula. If I could do one mitzvah b'shleimus, that is a me'in of Geula. Yeah? And each mitzvah fits into the picture in a different way. But like I said, I think we could talk about that for hours, so if whoever wants to help me organize this for me, I think we should make it happen. Okay? We'll stop here. Again, I recommend going back through Ches, through Yud of Balak, and just see the whole flow for yourself, and try to come up with your own, think into the Hairoz on your own, and come up with more insights. And thank you everyone for coming, and Mashiach now.